another video on rich fruit cake. I make these kind of quite often because I like a bit of cake in the afternoon. I've been faffing around with, over the last 2 years, been faffing around with jam, trying to get like a jam that I exactly kind of wanted, and varying degrees of success. But what I did do, I was macerating strawberries. And I was kind of thinking that actually once we've macerated strawberries in sugar, so you just kind of put a load of sugar on the strawberries and then just leave it for a week in the fridge, and the sugar draws out the liquid from the strawberries, and you're left with like lots of liquid from the strawberries that comes out, which is sweet and we can turn into a cordial. It's very nice. And then we're kind of left with the strawberries, so they are kind of preserved. And because they've had some of them, a lot of the moisture drawn out of them, I was looking at them. I was kind of, well, could we actually put those in a fruit cake, and how would they kind of turn out? I've done it before, and I did it with just like a normal cake mixture, but I kind of thought it'd be nicer in a rich fruit cake. So, which is the same ratio, but it's got a bit more spices in, and it's got like soft brown sugar in. And a bit of lemon and a bit of orange and all those type of things. The recipe will be in the description. So I was kind of thinking, could we use those strawberries as a substitute for other kind of dried fruit? And then also that's kind of quite interesting, because if I'm wanting to make some strawberry syrup, or a strawberry cordial, and I have these kind of fruits left over and I don't know what to do with them, I can always just put them into a cake as another kind of ingredient. So it's a 3-egg mixture. So there is a £1.5 worth of fruit, and I've kind of done a comparison. So this is, I'm going to make some more cakes today as well. So this is a £1.5 worth of dried fruit. So if we can kind of eyeball and see that it's about the same kind of volume. So it should kind of work, and it should be the right amount of fruit for the right amount of cake. I just want to, I think, so we've got our cake mixture here. I just kind of think we probably need to dust that in a little bit of flour, because there's still a little bit wet. So this might work if the strawberries are used as part of the fruit element of the cake, but probably not all of the fruit element. But I'm curious, so let's kind of quite have a go. So I think it'll need a bit of flour, which will stop the fruit from dropping down to the bottom of the cake. And it will also kind of, because the cake mixture will be a little bit dry, because there's going to be extra flour in there, it will hopefully compensate for the fruit being a little bit wetter than like dried fruits like sultanas and raisins and all that type of thing. In retrospect, I probably should have sliced the fruit open and then macerated them, but I couldn't be bothered. So there's about 1.8 kilos worth of fruit before macerating. But this is not like a recipe, this is just kind of faffing around. So I did do about, there's a little bit of fruit left, which we might end up using if needs be. So there was about 2 kilos in all of fruit, and it was the cheap stuff at the end of the day from the local market. So at the I'm baking, so the container that I'm using are dirty with other things. Well, dirty with other cake mixture type things, but not kind of like dirty as in like, you know, not unclean. It's just I couldn't be bothered washing up. So the fruit from the end of the day when it going to the market, they're like the fruit stalls, and at the end of the day they sell the fruit really cheap, because they don't want to take it home, and it won't, you know, if it's like a Friday and they're not going to another market on Saturday, then the fruit won't keep until Monday. So they sell it off really cheap at the end of the day. Good for us. So I reckon tablespoon with the flour, and we'll give it a mix round, and we'll kind of see. Does that look about right? Yeah, it's about a bit. Heat tablespoon. Let's call it a heat tablespoon. And then we'll use that to mix it. And then we'll just that. There we go. Saves my hat. Might be enough. A little bit more. So that's right. So that'll hopefully soak up too much moisture and stop the cake mixture from falling down, the strawberries falling down to the bottom of the cake mixture, and then we'll put those in there like that. And then we've got a spoon. Wooden spoons are best for doing this because metal spoons tend to bend. It's just breaking the fruit up slightly, not to worry. I think it's about right. That's about right. So the fruit that I've got, the strawberries that I've got left, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those in the other fruit cakes that I'm making, so they're not going to go to waste. Which I'll probably we'll cut into those as well. But just curious. So yeah, that's about right, isn't it? I think that's about right. So loaf tin. The dimensions of the loaf will be in the description as well, and I've triple lined that with baking parchment. So there's 3 layers of baking parchment. And then it's going to go in the oven for about 3 hours at 140, 150, something like that. Yeah, I think that's a good, this looks like a good ratio. And then what we'll do is we'll put another layer of baking parchment on top. And then that just protects the top of the cake. And I'll just... That'll do. No, that won't do, because that was had butter on it. So I've got the other spatula with some cake mixture on already. So we'll just take that excess cake mixture and then we'll put it on the top, and then it'll just protect that fruit, so that all the fruit will be submerged underneath the cake. How much washing up do I make? So as soon as I have a day off, I spend the day in the kitchen making myself washing up and faffing around. What I could really do is retire from work, and then I could just faff around in my own kitchen instead of faffing around in other people's. So if we just put cake mixture on top like that, then we'll just protect those, and then the fingers like that, and then we've got that bit as well. That bit on there like that, because if you have fruit exposed at the top of the cake, it wants to burn. Look at your finger, and then in the oven with a bit of baking parchment over the top of it like that, and tucked in, and then that'll just protect the cake from overcooking on the top. So about 3 hours, something like that. We'll see how we go. So we've had about 2 3/4 hours. Have a look. I think it was ready. Oh, puffed up a bit. I don't know why it's still there. Let's have a look. Strange, you don't normally do that. That's exploded into life, isn't it? So I think that's ready. Let's stick a skewer in it. Well, it's a thermometer, but it's clean, is it? Try it there. Let's go right down to the bottom. I don't think this will keep. So if you use like dried fruit cakes, keep for a long time because of the moisture content of them. I think because of the moisture content of these strawberries, I don't think it will keep. Yeah, it's hot the way through. So we'll cool that, and then we'll look at it. Looks like we've got some strawberries still at the top, so I don't think it's all falling down to the bottom. So we'll have a look at that when it's cool in a couple of hours. Pointless taking it out now. I can see it dropping actually. Yeah, I can see it dropping, which is fine. It's hot all the way through and it's cooked, so it's going to drop a little bit. But we'll have a look at it in a couple of hours and see what it's like. It's cooled, it's shrunk. So you can see it was like that, or like that. It's now like that. It feels kind of quite heavy. I was thinking maybe, did it puff up? Did it shrink because of the excess moisture in it? So like the strawberries were kind of a little bit wet. So did that moisture turn into steam, and that's what made it puff up? and then because it wasn't enough kind of like flour to hold it together for the moisture that was in it, then did it sink? I don't know. I think maybe sounds about right, doesn't it? Sounds about right. But anyway, still gonna eat it. Still gonna eat it. It looks like it's gone a little bit jammy. Can we see that? So those are bits where the strawberries have cooked. It looks like it's gone a little bit jammy. So it's not. I think it's too wet to kind of mature and keep for any length of period. So it's certainly something we're going to have to eat straight away. I say we, I mean me. It smells good. It smells really good. Certainly, oh yeah, it's really wet, is that? Yeah, I think the strawberries, I think they're probably better. Let's do it we'll do a piece at the end. So I think they're too wet, but as to use in a cake that we're going to use fresh, I think that'll probably kind of work. And to use in a fruit cake, a small part of the fruit cake, I think it would work that way. Might just have another go at, oh, you see, look at that, that's just too wet. Yeah, that's way too wet, is that? But that'll need keeping in the fridge all that. Let's give it a taste. It smells nice. It smells really nice. And it, unfortunately, do you know, that kind of looks like rotting flesh. So it kind of looks like that, but what does it taste like? It's nice though. It's nice. We can fix a cake like this. What we can do is we can chop the cake up and then put it and then mix it into a new cake mixture. So that would kind of like work, and that would kind of like dry it out, which I've done that experiment before and it worked. So we could do that. Or we could, what we could do is make another one batch of like a 3 egg cake mixture, and then I've got some fruit loaf and some hot cross buns in the freezer. Hot cross buns in the freezer, and we could combine this cake with that mixture with that bread, and that would dry it out, and that would work. So that would kind of fix it. It's nice. It's just a bit wet. It's nice, you know. I'm going to enjoy it. But, you know, just didn't work. Not to worry. We don't always win first time around. But sometimes when we fail, it sends us off in another direction. So it's nice. It's just a slight bit of a fail. I might fix it. Yeah, work's slowed down for a bit now. So I might I've got some butter that was faffing around with, so maybe we'll be able to fix it and turn it into something else. I don't think I'll make a video on that. My computer's broken and I'm running out of space on my phone. But anyway, so a success, because we found out it doesn't work. There we go. Right, let's fix this failed strawberry cake. So it's too wet. That bit's nice, that bit's not so good, but we can fix it. So let's fix it. So I have cut up the cake and I've made another cake mixture. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this cake as the basis for like the dried fruit element of a new cake, which will fix it. And also those soggy bits won't fall down to the bottom. And I was also thinking that I had a thought about using, obviously we use spices in this cake. There's some mace and there's some cinnamon. and there's a little bit of orange as well. Orange isn't classed as spice, but it's orange zest. So I was kind of thinking, well, strawberries work really well with cracked black pepper. Can we put a bit of pepper in it as well? Why not? So I've got some pepper. I should have really mixed it into the cake mixture. Let's twist a few bits of. I'm just doing it slightly off camera, and then I've got a fork to hand. So cake mixture with a few grinds of pepper in, and let's just see how it tastes. I think that'd be interesting. So strawberries and cracked black pepper work. So let's put some cracked black pepper in. So it's a 6 egg cake mixture. So it's about a teaspoon each of mace and cinnamon. So about a teaspoon of cracked black pepper, I think that'd be plenty. So I'll show you. So there's about that much, and then we're going to combine that cake that I've chopped up into that cake mixture. Give it a mix. Put it in some mold, some cake tins, and then we're going to rebake it. If there is a little bit too much cake mixture for that cake that we just chopped up, I have got a few bits of. I've got some hot cross buns and a bit of fruit loaf that we can put in as well. So, wooden spoon, because they don't bend. I like wooden spoons. I like metal spoons. So as you can see what I'm doing. So we just need to give it a bit of a better mix, because it's got that pepper, and that needs to get fully dispersed all the way through it. And then we'll just judge if that's the right amount of. Okay, it doesn't matter if it gets broken up. Let's put. We've got a bit of fruit loaf from another experiment, so we'll put a couple of slices of fruit loaf in. I suppose we could put a bit more fruit in it, but I've got this out, so we'll put that in as well. I made a fruit loaf. I made a cake using this method, but putting hot cross buns in and brown bread cake. It worked, and it was kind of quite nice. So I know this works. So that'll just be another way of just soaking up that excess liquid in the strawberries, and the cake will go a little bit further. So we're not wasting anything. I guess we're going to get 2 cakes out of this. Yeah, that feels better. So we're not really wasting anything. We're only really wasting 1 cake mixture, really. So that'll mix well enough, and then it wants to go in an oven. So back into the oven. 140, 150 degrees for 2 hours this time, I think. It's not as dense, so there's less cake for it for the oven to cook. So I'll fill that one up a bit, and then we'll top them both up, and I've got a bit more space. But oh yeah, I could do with a bit more space, but the only problem with when you've got more space is that you fill it, so you've never got enough space. I suppose the secret is just to use what you've got the best way that you can. So that one out of the way, and then you don't need to see all this really, do you? But I'm going to turn the camera off. Oh yeah, and then we need to. So same method as before. Put a bit of clean baking parchment over the top of the cake and tuck it in, and then that'll just protect the top. This is kind of even more crucial to do that this time, because of the nature of the cake. And cake's going to burn a lot quicker, or cake mixture is going to burn a lot quicker than fruit would. So that's about right. So if I had a couple of slices of that cake, so if I hadn't had a couple of slices, it would have been, wouldn't have needed that bit of fruit loaf. That's about it, isn't it? That's about right. So I'm sure this will be part of the failed strawberry cake video. Lick your fingers. Wash off, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with a bit of baking parchment. Just in case I decide to turn this into 2 videos rather than 1. So then a bit of baking parchment over the top like that, and just protect the top from burning or getting too coloured. In the oven about 2 hours on 140, 150 degrees, something like that. It's been 2 hours. So sticks up there. Puffed up again, which is strange. Might be down to the moisture content. It's come out clean. It's come out. Oh, it's a little bit wet down the bottom. Give that another. We'll take that off, and we'll give it another half an hour or so and see what happens. I think that it smells good. Yeah, we'll give it another half an hour and see how we go. These are ready. I've had another half an hour, and they're just starting to come away from the paper at the bottom. So that's generally a sign that they are cooked and just starting to shrink. So slightly overcooked really, but it's a fruitcake. So there's plenty of moisture in it, so it's not going to dry out. So we'll let this cool, and then we'll cut into them, and we're going to see how the fixing of the failed cake has lost for words. The fixing of the failed cake has turned out. There we go. Right, let's have a look. I have higher hopes. I don't think they're gonna mature like a normal fruit cake. I think I'll have to eat it quick, or freeze one and eat the other quick. There we go. Still a little bit moist down the bottom. But that's worked, hasn't it? That's worked. So I'll have to have another play around. I was thinking about it, and I think I'll have to buy some more strawberries, and I'll cut them smaller and before I macerate them. I think that might have been the problem. That the actual centre of the strawberries was just still too wet. So we'll have another go. It's going to be nice, isn't it? I've never had a cake that I didn't like. That's not true. But anyway, so that's, you can just see that's the bit of fruit loaf there. That's delicious. It's like bits of jam are in there. So that tastes like a lump and like a blob of jam, which is interesting. That's interesting, isn't it? That's interesting. Now that's interesting. I'll have to have a think about that. Right, so a failure, we fixed it, a success, and even better, it's given me 2 more things to think about.